The words hit me before I could process them. We contacted your references. They declined to vouch for you. I looked up at the loan officer, then sideways at my parents. They were 10 feet away, laughing with another banker about their new property in the Hamptons. My father glanced over once, then he looked away. My name is Sienna, I'm 29 years old. And that day at the bank wasn't the first time my family made it clear I didn't matter. It was just the loudest. I grew up in a house that looked like success. My parents built a commercial real estate empire from the ground up. We had the cars, the vacations, the country club memberships, but none of it was ever meant for me. I was the daughter. My older brother was the prized child, the heir, the one they actually invested in. From the time I was 12, I heard the same message over and over. Business isn't for girls. You should focus on finding a good husband. Let your brother handle the serious stuff. So I watched him get a trust fund at 21 while I worked 3 part-time jobs to pay for community college. I watched him get an office at my father's company while I studied financial analysis at night. I wasn't bitter at first. I thought if I worked hard enough, if I proved myself, they'd eventually see me. They'd realize I was capable, that I mattered. I built my own path. I became a financial analyst at a regional investment firm. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. I learned everything I could about money, investments, lending, and risk management. I saved aggressively. I watched every dollar. I had a plan. One day, I'd start my own consulting practice. I'd be independent. I wouldn't need their approval or their money. I wasn't the favorite. I wasn't rich off their fortune. But I had something they never expected. Patience, discipline, and a plan they'd never see coming. For years, I kept trying with them. I showed up to family dinners. I sent birthday cards. I convinced myself that one day, they'd be proud of me. That's why I listed them as references on my business loan application. I actually believed they'd support me. I was wrong. The day I applied for that loan, I'd been preparing for 5 years. I had a business plan, a client list, savings, everything a bank could want. I walked into that branch feeling ready. Nervous, but ready. Then I saw my parents in line ahead of me. They were refinancing their mortgage to buy another vacation property. I thought maybe it was a sign. Maybe we'd celebrate together after. The loan officer called me over. He looked uncomfortable. That's when he said it. We contacted your family references. They declined to vouch for you. I blinked. I'm sorry, what? He lowered his voice, but not enough. Your parents. They said they couldn't risk their reputation on this venture. I turned. My mother was watching me now. Her expression was cold, detached, like she was observing a stranger. Sienna, we can't risk our reputation on your hobbies, you understand. Hobbies. 5 years of planning was a hobby. My father didn't even turn around. If you needed money, you should have married that lawyer we introduced you to. This independent phase needs to end. My brother was there too. Of course he was. He smirked at me from across the lobby. Come on, Cece, you're not actually good with money, you just work with it. There's a difference. The loan officer shifted in his seat. Without strong references and with your current savings level, we can't approve this amount. I'm sorry. I felt my face burning. Other customers were staring. My hands started shaking. I tried to keep my voice steady. I see. Thank you for your time. My mother stage whispered to my father as I walked past. I told you she'd embarrass us eventually. I left the bank. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, staring at the rejection letter. That night, my brother sent me a text. It was a photo of their new vacation home, all white columns and ocean views. The caption read, "Family money goes to family who matter," with a winking emoji. I didn't respond. But 2 days later, I found out the whole truth. A friend who worked at the bank told me what my parents had actually said. They didn't just decline to vouch for me. They told the loan officer I was financially irresponsible. That my business ideas were unrealistic. That I didn't understand money the way their son did. They didn't just refuse to help me, they sabotaged me. I thought maybe I'd misunderstood. Maybe it was a miscommunication. 2 weeks later, I opened Instagram and saw photos from my cousin's engagement party. It was held at my parents' estate. There were 50 people there. My brother was in every picture, giving toasts about family legacy and tradition. I hadn't been invited. I called my mother. My hands were shaking again. Mom, I saw the photos. Why wasn't I invited? She sighed like I was bothering her. It was only for family who contribute to the family name, dear. You've chosen a different path. I hung up. Then I saw my aunt had commented on one of the photos. So wonderful to celebrate with the real family. She'd added 3 crying laugh emojis. A month later, my father's company celebrated its 40th anniversary. It was a huge gala. Extended family, clients, business partners, everyone. I got an invitation because it was technically open to all family members. I wore my best dress. I told myself I'd stay an hour, show my face, and leave. My father gave a speech. He stood at the podium and thanked everyone who'd made the company successful. He thanked his wife for raising a son worthy of carrying on his legacy. He thanked my brother for his dedication and vision. He listed a dozen employees by name. He never said mine. I stood at the bar, trying not to cry. A family friend approached me. Your father talks about his son constantly. Does he have other children? I forced a smile. I'm his daughter. She looked genuinely confused. Oh, I had no idea. Later, my brother cornered me near the coat check. You know, if you stopped this career woman thing and settled down, maybe dad would acknowledge you. Just saying. I left without saying goodbye to anyone. 3 months after that, my parents called me. It was the first time I'd heard from them in weeks. My mother's voice was bright, cheerful. Sienna, darling, we need your help with something. I should have known better. But I asked anyway. What do you need? We're reviewing some investment documents, complex financial things. We thought you could take a look, use that expertise of yours. I paused. You want me to review investment documents? Yes, it'll only take a few hours. You're good at this sort of thing. My consulting rate is $150 an hour. The line went silent. Then my mother's voice turned icy. You'd charge your own parents? After everything we've done for you? My father grabbed the phone. We paid for your childhood, Sienna. That's more than enough. You didn't pay for my college. I did that myself. And whose genes gave you the intelligence to get those scholarships? His voice was rising now. You owe us. Everything you have, because of us. I closed my eyes. I'm not working for free. He hung up. I sat on my couch that night, staring at my phone. I'd started having panic attacks before family events. I'd wake up at 3 in the morning with my heart racing, dreading the next holiday, the next gathering, the next humiliation. But that night, something shifted. I opened my laptop, I started researching, and I smiled for the first time in months. Because I'd just remembered something very interesting. What they didn't know was that while they were spending, I was learning, and I'd learned something very, very interesting. For the past 4 years, I'd been working closely with commercial lending and investment portfolios at my firm. I wasn't just an analyst anymore. I'd been promoted to senior analyst. I managed a small but significant portfolio of regional investments. And 6 months earlier, my firm had acquired a struggling community bank. The same bank where I'd been humiliated. As part of the acquisition, I'd reviewed all the bank's assets. Every account, every mortgage, every loan. That's when I found it. My parents' primary residence mortgage. The family estate I'd grown up in. It was held by this bank. By my firm. The vacation home was financed elsewhere, but the main house, the one they were so proud of, was in our portfolio. And here's the interesting part. They'd refinanced 6 months ago. They'd taken out equity to fund their lifestyle, new cars, vacations, the second home's down payment. They'd switched to a variable rate to get better terms, which meant their rate could go up. And I was in a position to influence decisions about this portfolio. I started documenting everything. Every cruel text, every public humiliation, every voicemail where they talked down to me. I saved emails. I screenshotted social media posts. I built a file. I also started building my reputation at work. I volunteered for the most complex accounts. I proved I could handle sensitive, high-value clients with professionalism and discretion. My boss noticed. My colleagues noticed. I became the person they trusted with difficult situations. They thought I was powerless because I wasn't in their will. They forgot that real power isn't inherited. It's earned. And I'd been earning it all along. I began planning. It was legal. It was ethical. And it was perfectly poetic. I needed advice. So I went to Gerald, my mentor at the firm. He was a senior partner who'd watched me rise through merit alone. He knew about my family. He'd seen me work through the pain of their rejection while still excelling at my job. I sat in his office and explained everything. The mortgage, the portfolio, the variable rate. My idea. Gerald raised an eyebrow. This is bold, but not unethical. Walk me through. We spent 2 hours strategizing. We made sure everything was legal, professional, and protected the firm. Then Gerald did something I didn't expect. He advocated for me. He went to the executive board and proposed that I lead a new division focused on family account management. Sensitive mortgages. High-value clients with complex situations. They approved it. I got the title. I got the authority. Meanwhile, my family got more arrogant. My brother called me one afternoon. Hey, Cece, I've got a buddy who needs some bank connections. Can you put in a good word? He had no idea I had actual power now. He thought I was still just a low-level analyst. I'll see what I can do, I said. I heard through my cousin that my parents were bragging at their country club. They were telling everyone how self-sufficient they were, how they'd built everything from nothing, how they'd never needed handouts. The irony was suffocating. They'd refinanced their house 3 times. They were drowning in accessible debt, but they still acted superior. Then my mother left me a voicemail. Sienna, we've decided to host Thanksgiving this year. You're welcome to come if you'd like, but we're seating you at the children's table. You're still finding yourself after all. The adult table is for established family members. That was it. That was my breaking point. I walked into Gerald's office. I'm ready. Let's move forward. He nodded. You've earned this. Just remember, stay professional. Stay factual. Let the situation speak for itself. I drafted a formal letter that afternoon. It was professional, clinical, and impersonal. Mortgage account review. Your presence is requested at our office for a mandatory account evaluation. I signed it with my new title, Senior Portfolio Manager, Commercial Lending Division. I sent it to their home address. The meeting was scheduled for 2 weeks out. The day arrived. I got to the bank early. I set up the conference room. I laid out the files, the projections, the documentation. I wore my best suit. I felt calm, focused, ready. My parents arrived 15 minutes late. They walked in looking annoyed, inconvenienced. What is this about? My father demanded. We've never missed a payment. Then they saw me. I was sitting at the head of the table. Files spread in front of me, professional, composed. They stopped cold. Sienna? My father's voice cracked. What are you doing here? I gestured to the chairs across from me. I'm the senior portfolio manager overseeing your mortgage account. Please, sit down. My mother looked around wildly. This is absurd. We want to speak to someone else. Someone qualified. I slid my business card across the table. It had my name, my title, the firm's logo. I am qualified. I'm the decision maker for this account. Shall we begin? Gerald sat down beside me. He was there as a witness and supervisor. He nodded for me to continue. I opened the top file. Your mortgage is under standard portfolio review. You've refinanced 3 times in 4 years. You've accessed significant equity for non-investment purposes. Your debt-to-income ratio has shifted. My father's face was turning red. Our account is in good standing. Currently, yes. I kept my voice even, but you're on a variable rate, and rates are rising. We're offering existing borrowers the option to refinance at a locked rate before the next adjustment. If you don't take this option, your monthly payment will increase by 40%. I slid the projection across the table. The numbers were real, accurate, stark. My mother went pale. 40%? We can't afford that. I continued. The refinance option requires updated financial disclosures, employment verification for all income sources, and character references for loan modification. The silence in the room was deafening. The irony hung between us like smoke. My father finally understood. You want us to provide references? To you? Not to me. To the bank. I kept my tone professional, just as I needed references from family. It's standard procedure for this modification tier. The door opened. My brother walked in, late and arrogant as always. What's going on? He saw me at the table, saw our parents' faces. This is revenge, he said. This is unprofessional. Gerald spoke for the first time. His voice was smooth, calm, authoritative. This is standard portfolio management. Miss, Sienna is offering your parents an opportunity many borrowers don't receive. The alternative is accepting the rate increase when it takes effect next quarter. I looked at my parents. My father was staring at the table. My mother was crying silently. I felt nothing, no satisfaction, no anger, just clarity. I'm giving you the same choice you gave me, I said quietly. Ask your family to vouch for your credibility, or face the consequences alone. I stood up. I gathered my files. You have 2 weeks to decide. The paperwork will be sent to your home. I walked out of the conference room. Gerald followed. I didn't look back. 2 weeks later, the application arrived on my desk. I opened it alone in my office. They'd provided references, friends, their accountant, distant relatives I barely knew, but not my brother. That was interesting. I reviewed the application professionally. They qualified. Their finances, while stretched, were still within acceptable limits. I approved the modification. I processed the paperwork. I closed the file. No favoritism, no sabotage, just business. My father sent an email the next day. Application submitted. We assume this matter is resolved. No apology. No acknowledgement of what they'd put me through. No recognition of the parallel I'd drawn. But the arrogance was gone. The condescension was gone. And that was enough. I didn't need their apology anymore. I didn't need their approval. I didn't need anything from them. I took my savings and applied for a business loan at a different bank. This time, I used professional references, colleagues, clients, people who actually knew my work. The loan was approved in 3 days. I launched my consulting business a month later. I quietly removed myself from family group chats. I stopped going to events where I was treated as less than. I stopped trying to earn love from people who'd never give it. 6 months later, my business was thriving. I had 12 regular clients. I'd hired an assistant. My mental health was better than it had been in years. My life was mine. A former family friend reached out. She'd heard about my success through someone at the country club. She became my first major corporate client. The irony wasn't lost on me. I don't talk to my parents anymore. I don't miss them. I don't miss the version of myself that kept trying to be enough for them. Because here's what I finally learned. They taught me I'd never be enough. But the truth was, I was always enough, just not for them. And that was their loss, not mine. Did this story hit home? Let me know by liking the video and sharing your thoughts in the comments. Click hype to help this story find others who felt the same way. Your support makes a huge difference.